Thank you for coming to tonight's GRPS Board of Education meeting. We will call our meeting to order, and if you could please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, Ms. Grant will not be in attendance, so if you could please take the roll for us.
Ms. Grant is excused. Ms. Lewis here. Reverend Matias is excused. Ms. Shockey? Here. Ms. Grant is excused. Dr. Baker?
Here.
Ms. Davis? Here. Dr. Flores?
Present.
President Ross?
Present. And may we have a motion for tonight's agenda, please?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Being none, so we do have an agenda. Thank you very much. And I will say to anyone in the audience who wants to make a public comment, there are public comment cards on the tables as you enter. And if you would complete those and hold it up, our board assistants will grab those for you at the appointed time. Otherwise, we'll start with our celebrations this evening. School Choice Expo.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I am standing in place of Executive Director Hendricks to talk about the School Expo Fall Harvest that took place 2 weeks ago. It was an incredible, successful event. We hosted it at Union High School and welcomed about 650 community members to come into our school and meet our leaders. All of the schools were on display. This was the opportunity to give families a chance to see our district all at the same time, all in the same place. They got a chance to meet with teachers and building administrators, and also to those administrators and teacher staff were able to talk a little bit about their programs. So, and we encourage people to always to take advantage of the School Expo. We know this helped a lot of our families make GRPS their choice, and we're already gearing up for the Winter Expo that will take place in January 2023. So, thank you for families, and thank you to the staff who participated in the Fall Harvest Expo.
Great. All righty. Well, thank you. We will go ahead and go with the report of our board scholars. Ms. Muhammad is not here just yet. Mr. Leggett, do you have any report for us, sir?
Yes. Tomorrow we will be having a senior summit at GRPS University, so that's going to be interesting to have all the seniors together. Next week, on November 30th, the Superintendent Scholar Advisory Council will be volunteering at Kids Food Basket. And then Innovation Central High School recently had their academic night last week, Thursday, so that was a big success.
Right. Good deal. Also, we have to give you a little praise. I'm sure you know that you're a borderline celebrity amongst us now with the your video. And it did great wonders, too. It got a lot of scholars engaged in that process, so thank you very much, though, really. That moves us to any public comment for board agenda items, and doesn't look like we have any comment for board agenda items. So we will move forward with our reports for this evening and start with the secretary's report.
Yes, I just have the report for the committee meetings. The Finance Committee will be meeting Monday, November 28th at 4:30 p.m. in the Franklin Campus Administration Building Auditorium. And the Academic Achievement Committee meeting will be meeting on Wednesday, December 7th at 4:30 in the Administration Building Auditorium.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. And to our committee chair updates, Ad hoc Facilities Committee. Ms. Shaka, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, President Ross. So the Ad hoc Facilities Committee met last week, and our discussion was really centered around community engagement. A look back at this first round, Phase 1 community engagement for our facilities master plan, and a look forward as we begin to both imagine and create the framework by which we'll engage our internal and external stakeholders as we move to Phase 2 of our facilities master plan. So we talked a lot about trust, and we were led through guided facilitation by Ms. Erica Vanny, and we looked back at what worked well about Phase 1 facilities master plan engagement. Really, probably the largest highlight was our scholar engagement. And I just want to really lift up our district team who did very intentional and meaningful work with our scholars to gain their feedback on what does the GRPS that they desire look like. And so the district team led us through a lot of that very, again, intentional work, going into classrooms, empowering teachers to lead discussions, and making really sometimes high-level words and thinking applicable to 3rd through 12th graders. So the results we got were really a result of that great work internally in GRPS. So that went really well. And Sammy, we talked about you again. So you went really well. Thank you so much, Sammy, for leading our scholars to that really meaningful feedback. But we know that representative voice was not where we desired it to be. So that is the work as we move forward to really define as this Board of Education what we want to see in Phase 2 stakeholder engagement. And we learned a lot about how we best meet folks where they are, because we didn't do that exclusively across the district during this Phase 1 work. And so working with our community partners who know our neighbors and neighborhoods and families, working with our building leaders who are so connected to the scholars and staff. And I'm just really excited for continuous improvement as we move toward Phase 2 stakeholder engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to our committee report for policy. Ms. Lewis, do you have any report?
Yes. The first one is just a rule, and we don't vote on rules, but it's for your information. We have added language to clarify Grand Rapids Public Schools' position on our trademark. It is a protected trademark, and the rule now prohibits anyone from using the trademark unless you have permission, because it may appear that if you use it, we may be supporting a particular candidate or a particular issue that we aren't supporting. So we have to be very careful about using the trademark slogan and logo. All right, there is another policy that was brought up, and I'm sure you received lots of phone calls about it. It dealt with the field trips and travel tours and excursions, and we discussed it at length in a policy committee meeting and decided that there were so many problems with it that the executive council was going to have to meet again and bring something back to us. And then the last, no, not the last one yet, but the next one is about electronic communication devices. And basically what we did was changed the policy for 2 reasons. The first one, to be less restrictive with respect to student cell phone use at school, and to match the language in the student handbook regarding student use of electronic devices for the purpose of internal consistency. So I checked out what they're doing at each level. In kindergarten through 5, there are no electronic devices at all used during the school day. In grades 6 through 8, they may use them before and after school, but nothing during the school hours. On the high school level, teachers can give a permission for a student to use the phone, but it has to be with permission. And then all other uses will be determined by the school administration. And the last policy is 3610, and that deals with purchasing goods and services. And basically, this answers the concern that the folks had, I think it was a week ago when they came and talked about sort of this tumble-down discrimination. So we're adding language that the board expects that such companies will not subcontract work to companies that engage in illegal or unethical behavior. Now, I believe, Anya's over here, I believe we have to vote on policy 8280 and 3610. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so we do have those for action items later, for sure.
They're coming up later? Okay.
All right, well, thank you for that overview. Any clarifications needed by anyone from Ms. Lewis, or you can wait until we get to the action item, of course, too, though, if you like. All righty. That brings us to the superintendent's report. I believe maybe Ms. Andrews did a foundation update last week, though.
She did.
I believe. Yep.
So I'm going to invite Executive Director Kurt Johnson to give us a turkey trot update.
Good evening, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, President Ross, Superintendent Dr. Roby, and distinguished board members. Can you believe in about 52 hours, just a little over 52 hours, we will be celebrating 30 years of Grand Rapids Turkey Trot. And so we're very pleased and happy about that. So we're behind the scenes doing a lot of things right now. But to believe that we've come from 1992 with about 45 runners at Riverside Park to well over 4,000. We're closing in on 4,000 as we speak now. We're at over 3,600, and the registration changes by every 30 minutes there. So we're really excited about that. But what it really represents is not just an event, but people have come out to support the cause. And the cause is so that our students have access to after-school sports without having to pay for those things. And so they really believe in that. And they're coming out in droves, and so we're very appreciative of that. We have the school challenge going on right now. I'll give you just a little rundown. It's not over until Wednesday at 4 p.m., but City is in the lead with 109 registrations. Zoo School is right behind with 91. Union is coming through with 88. Cesar Chavez with 49 and Ottawa Hills with 41. So they're really out there being competitive about that. So they still have time to get their registrations in and land in that top three where we will show an award for them on that morning. So also, it's not too late to get involved. It's not too late to register. GRPS.org. And our Turkey Trot banner pops right up on the home screen. But also, we are so popular now, you can just Google Grand Rapids Turkey Trot, and there we are. That's how popular we are now, so we're happy about that. You can also donate. If you can't be with us, you can donate, support the cause. We have over 100, I think about 140 people who are participating virtually. So there are different places around the state and sometimes out of the country, and we mailed our packets to them today. And you can also volunteer. So if you go to runsignup.com or the registration page, you can still volunteer and join and be with us on there. So you have your race shirts there and your commemorative medallion celebrating 30 years, and we want everyone else to have theirs. So come on out and join us and be with us, and we're going to have a great time celebrating 30 years of Grand Rapids Turkey Trot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions from Mr. Johnson?
Tell them what time you start putting the race course together.
So we have a race day logistic document that circulates behind the scenes, and sometimes if there's no event at Van Andel the night before, we can come in at 3 a.m. But if there's an event the night before, then we come in at about 1 a.m.
Yeah, so you people were like, I don't want to get out of bed on Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah.
They've been up since 1.
And we do have an age division medal reserved for Dr. Baker. We expect him to win that all the time. But this year, he's taking a reprise, and he's going to let somebody else have that honor.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Just out of my.
out of the kindness of his heart, he's going to let somebody else have that medal this year. All right, thank you.
Very much, Mr. Johnson. Okay, that brings us to a few action items for this evening. The first being an addendum for the superintendent contract. Folks may recall there was a clerical error. We approved the contract extension last month, but there was a clerical error that requires us to make an addendum. That was shared with everyone. I believe we're pretty clear on that, but I definitely will entertain any questions or comments if folks are not. Otherwise, if I could have a motion to approve the addendum, that would be great.
So moved.
Support.
All right, and Ms. Lewis?
Ms. Grant is absent. Ms. Lewis, yes. Reverend Matias excused. Ms. Shotke?
Yes.
Williams is excused. Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
President Grant?
Ross? Yes.
Thank you. What did I say?
President Grant.
President Grant.
That's okay.
I was her secretary. I can't get it.
I've been called worse, for sure.
Yes, you have.
And our next action item is board member stipends. Just a little background. One of our colleagues raised this earlier this year, and we began to do a little research and recognized that the board stipend had not been changed in at least about 15 years. So in sort of relation to, cost of living, I guess, for lack of a better word, just thought we would bring this for conversation to see if anyone had a desire to motion for any increase to the board stipend to be relative to again, what's going on in the world around us today. We did do a little research, and the board stipends range everywhere from in the state from as high as, what do we have? Oh, like
$250 per meeting.
no, there's some hold on
$250
here.
per meeting.
Yeah, there was $250 per meeting, which, obviously that would be roughly $1,000 a month. So that's sort of the ceiling, and we have some as low as, no compensation other than mileage. So everything in between there. Our current board stipend is $300 for board members and $400 for the president, just as a FYI to the public. So you two in the back, you won't retire off of the income here, but
They'll be getting a raise before they've even started.
that's just sort of basic background. I don't know if any have any questions or comments, or if anyone wants to provide a motion.
I will make a motion.
Sure.
I move that we increase the board compensation $100 per board member and an extra $100 for the president.
So that would bring the monthly stipend to $400 for board members and then $500 for board president. Okay. Anyone, any questions or want to second that motion?
I'll second that. Yeah, I'll second. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Well, we can just go ahead and call the vote then. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Grant is excused, Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Shockey?
Yes.
Williams excused, Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
No.
President Ross?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
That
And
goes into effect.
would be until January.
No, I voted for it because I didn't benefit, so I think that people need to have the compensation to get here, and it costs a lot of money to be on this board over time, so.
Sure. Well, thank you. And we have a organizational meeting action item. This is to establish board organization for the next board when our new members will be sworn in and officers identified for the coming academic year. So we just, if we can have a motion to support January 9th being that date, that will be the first Monday in which we're in school in the new school year. So that's why that date is what we've identified. So any questions or
So
desire
that would
to
happen
change
during
that?
the work session, then on the 9th? Is that right? Or
Well,
be separate from Julie SU? Okay,
That-
thank you. Independent of. Yep, got it.
independent of, yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So may I have a motion to, for that January 9th organization meeting date?
Motion for approval?
Support.
Ms. Grant is excused, Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Shockey?
Yes.
Ms. Williams is excused, Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
President Ross?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. And now to the policy action items, 8280, the electronic communication devices. Ms. Lewis provided some overview on that. Any clarifying questions about? No? Okay. Any motion to support or to approve 8280?
Motion to support policy 8280.
He approves it. Motion to support then.
Support.
Thank you. So Dr. Baker makes the motion and Ms. Davis the second.
Okay, Ms. Grant is excused, Ms. Lewis, yes. Rabbi Matias is excused, Ms. Shockey.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams excused, Dr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Davis.
Yes.
Dr. Flores.
Yes.
President Ross.
Yes. And I should have clarified, that's just the first reading of the policy too. My apologies. Also, first reading for 3610, the purchasing of goods and services, that Ms. Lewis provided some overview. Any clarifications or questions on that for the first reading? Any motion?
So moved.
Support.
Do I take roll on that one?
Please.
Ms. Grant's excused. Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Shotke, Reverend Matias is excused. Ms. Shotke?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams is excused. Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
President Ross?
Yes. And that brings us to our consent agenda grouping. Obviously, that information was in your packet. Any motion to approve the consent agenda grouping, please?
So moved.
Support.
What was that for again?
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Grant is excused. Ms. Lewis, yes. Ms. Shotke?
Yes.
Ms. Williams is excused. Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
President Ross?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And that brings us to public comment for the non-agenda items. I will call a few names up, and if you can just kind of sit on the front row here, we'll call you one by one up to the table. We have Mr. Daniel Shutt, Micah Perkins, and Willow. No last name. Mr. Shutt, you can have a seat, please. And as a reminder to everyone with public comment, you do have 3 minutes off your public comment. Also, keep in mind the board will be unable to respond directly to your comment, but we are fully attentive. And if there is any need for immediate follow-up, someone from the administrative team will definitely connect with you. Mr. Shutt, if you want to go ahead and state your name, and I will start our timer, please.
Okay. Daniel Allen Scott is
I'm
pronounced.
sorry, thank you.
That's okay. That's it? That's all
Yes,
I-
thank you.
okay. Well, more importantly than my name is the fact that I'm a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's my real identity, the most important one. And I've been a resident of Grand Rapids over 40 years, almost 40 years. And I continue to witness firsthand the decline of the public school system into the violence and chaos and horrendous academic performance. What is the primary reason for this? It is the fact that we have pushed the Lord, Almighty Lord God, out of the schools. And of course, His Holy Scriptures, the Christian Bible. I can assure you, if you bring Him and His Word back into the schools as a centerpiece of the education, we will see a decline in the violence and the chaos, and certainly an increase in the academic excellence. I have the following appeals to you as leaders of GRPS. First of all, to please stop encouraging and the instruction of murder in the womb, commonly called abortion. The fact that is being taught as acceptable. This teaches our children that all life is cheap, and the Almighty Lord God says in His Holy Scriptures that He hates anyone that sheds innocent blood. And this is just what it looks like. That's one procedure called the D&E method. Please stop teaching our students that this is acceptable. It cheapens all of life. Number two, please stop teaching the lie of evolution. If we teach our youth that we are evolved from animals, they will act like animals. The Lord God says in His Word that He created the heavens and the earth, and He created mankind after His image. We did not evolve from animals. Please do not teach or encourage gender change confusion. Again, the Lord proclaims in Matthew chapter 18 that if anyone offends one of His little children, any child, it would be better that a millstone be hung around his neck and he be drowned in the depths of the sea. Please Do not allow these perverted drag queen shows that is so prevalent in other parts of the country. Again, the Lord declares that if you offend one of these little children, you will be, a millstone will be hung about your neck and you'll be drowned in the depth of the seas. Please do not allow pornography in our classroom and our libraries, teaching this sexual perversion. Again, the Lord speaks in His Word about not allowing this to happen, and anyone that does will be judged accordingly because we reap what we sow.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
And Willow, I see you're at the table. I'm assuming you're Willow?
Yeah.
All right. And you have 3 minutes, Willow, and I will start the timer when you're ready.
Okay. So, my name is Willow West, and I am a current BEEP at Blandford School. I have made an online petition to ask people if they agree with RIS being moved. So far, I have 59 responses. Only 4 have said no. That means the other 55 people don't think RIS should have been moved. So this decision was made because of a handful of people, not a majority. The majority of the people, 93.2% of the people signed, think RIS belongs at Blandford and think that he should have never been moved. This is important to me because at Blandford, we are a family. To quote my teacher, Tex, in this short time we have built a strong connection with each other, and that will never be replaced. I agree with that wholeheartedly. In the short time we have had with Riz, we built a strong connection with him. He became family. At Blandford, we talk about family a lot. Friends are family we choose. Riz was not only a teacher, but he was like a friend too. And him being moved so quickly and us not getting to say goodbye makes us really sad. Several beeps on the week of his removal, when we were talking about it, we heard it in their voices that they felt like crying, and I did too. And I felt like crying the entire week. That is all I have to say.
All right. Thank you, Ms. West. Appreciate your comment. Thank you very much. And Micah Perkins. And as Micah makes his way, if Nora Brenner and Donna West and Ebony Crane, if you can join in the front row, please.
It's all right, I'll hand some stuff out to you guys.
Sure.
So for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Micah Perkins. I'm a representative with the Michigan Building Trades for West and Southwest Michigan. What that means is I cover an area roughly from Manistee down to Indiana and a little bit west of Lansing out to the lake. And I represent all the skilled construction trades, whether it's electricians, plumbers and pipe fitters, anything that's involved in building and building. You guys mind if I stand? I talk better when I stand.
The microphone, though, will pick your comments up.
All right. We'll try it like this. So like I said, I cover an area that's pretty big, about 20 counties, but I do call Grand Rapids home. The reason I'm here tonight is twofold. The reason I always talk to school boards is that, honestly, as a construction industry, we've never needed your students more. I think roughly on a job site right now, the average age is roughly 53. We're aging out at a rate that's just not sustainable. What we offer for your graduates, your students, is world-class benefits and wages. We offer apprenticeships that are at absolutely no cost to the students. They don't come out of pocket for tools, books, materials, instruction, and they're paid while they learn. One of the cool things about how our wage setup is structured is that our benefits actually set up on top of our wages. So you're getting your hourly wage plus pension, 401k, and health care. Obviously, this is a really good setup. We are looking at construction work that like we've never seen in the last 10 years. Going forward for the next 5 years, we're seeing a lot of reshoring of manufacturing and other industrial capacities. We're going to be building all of that. Additionally, as members of your community, as stakeholders in your district, we want to be able to participate equally in college career days as well as facility maintenance and stuff like that. These are things that have not always been the case with GRPS. Finally, the thing to put in front of you that I always like to end with is that we do not take public money for anything that, or any of the training that we provide. We don't charge your students for any of the training we provide. We self-fund all of that. For example, in the plumbers and pipe fitters that I come from, we spend about $450 million a year training our people. That's true across the board for all the trades I represent. If you want to send your students to the best training for the best outcomes, you'll send them to us. The brochures I put in front of you have all the websites for the different training centers that we serve. We're all over your community. If you want us to be involved with stakeholders, which we currently are anyway, we'd love to have those conversations with you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Nora Brenner, if you want to step up, please. And Nora, as a reminder, I'll have a timer. You have 3 minutes, and I'll start that whenever you're ready.
My name is Nora Brenner, and as you have heard from Willow, our teacher Riz has been forced to leave Blandford School. I'm against this decision, and I helped to start the petition with Willow, and we're working on getting signatures, and we're getting quite a few and getting more. We'd like to present this petition soon, and very few people are saying no. Only 4 people. Riz was an amazing teacher, and I would really love to have him back, if not for my year, for future years. It's short, but
Yes, well, sure.
Thank
To
you.
the point. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Donna West?
Hi, good evening. My name is Donna West. I'm a parent of 5 kids, 3 who have gone through GRPS, 1 who is currently in 6th grade, you just met Willow, and my youngest in 4th. I've recently been made aware by my children that something called a social emotional learning survey gets handed out each month to survey how the kids are doing. I honestly want to commend GRPS for taking initiative into a controversial topic and piloting this program in some of our schools. But I'm also curious to know what type of follow-up is being done with these surveys that are filled out. Some of these questions being asked are similar to those found on depression screenings at doctor's offices, and one of my children shared with me their answers. And honestly, I know if their pediatrician were to hear those answers, we'd be discussing depression. But you see, as you met Willow already, she attends Blandford, so the board knows very well that one of their teachers was abruptly removed from their family environment, and the students were not given a chance for even a quick goodbye. So when one of the questions was, have you been happy in the last week? She literally answered no. That's one of the questions on a depression screening, that if you say no for the last week, you are then seen by the doctor for depression. So I'm curious to know how much of our children's emotional well-being was actually being taken into consideration in these decisions. You see, we all know Blandford's a rigorous program. No one's going to argue the difficulty of the education received there. But I think we tend to forget that this is more of a it's more than just a general education at an outdoor school. These 60 students and staff members become a family quite quickly through many unconventional ways. Willow's my 3rd beep, so we know the program pretty well. You removed not just their teacher, but the fun uncle that definitely teaches lessons in ways many of us would believe is unconventional. Let me remind the adults here. All of us remember the lessons that we learned in absolutely unconventional ways. It's the best way to learn lessons meant to be educational, as well as our best life lessons. So back to our social emotional learning. When someone disappears, leaves, is removed abruptly, it creates a trauma, a hole, an unanswered longing for something to fill that. Now, Blandford did receive a replacement teacher, and I hear he's doing well. I just met him tonight before I came here to the board meeting. We had a welcome Mr. O and Brianna, the new parapro as well, and I did go in onto that meeting before racing here to get to this one as well. They're great people. I know Brianna personally. And it does help soften the blow, but it truly never repairs the damage done. Now, these surveys that are filled out, what type of follow-up is done? My student has not had anyone discuss with them their answers to these surveys, so how helpful is the program going to be? Also, what about the kindergarten children that Mr. O left behind? Was he able to say goodbye to his class? Was he able to help out our youngest students feel okay with the abrupt move that was taking place? Was their social emotional well-being ever taken into consideration? I suggest the board truly review what the priority for social emotional learning is and what type of outcome they're looking for. I believe too many students were hurt in this decision, and the bigger picture was never thought of. Blandford is a place where unconventional, exciting, real-life learning take place, and removing a family member so abruptly is not something that can be replaced. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Excuse the alarm.
That's okay.
Thank you. Ebony Crane.
Good evening. So I'm Ebony Crane, owner of Resilience Therapy. We provide mental health outpatient services right here on Breton and Burton. We also have had an office on Division in Burton and also 44th in Breton, which is not your jurisdiction, but I am here more or less to inquire on what steps that we can take to
Thank you.
maybe obtain
Thank you.
a contract or at least allow for us to be able to present some statistics on what we provide. There is something, we are the only organization that provides something that's called EMDR group therapy. The amazing thing about this is that it's very culturally competent. As many of you are probably aware, that talking to individuals outside of the family household is forbidden. This is a way where we do not have to share what is taking place in our household, but we are actually working through those traumas. Once again, I could go on and on about it. I was actually the first clinician of color in Kent County to be EMDR trained. And then I have brought groups. Now there's about 6 of us that are people of color that are EMDR trained in Kent County, which is amazing. So what's the importance of this? As everyone knows, that your emotional well-being can impact your physical wellness and can also get in the way of how receptive you are to learning. There are stats that go as far as decreasing the turnover rates for even our teachers because they feel more cared about. There is no vicarious trauma. So once again, it provides a supportive environment. There is no exposure to vicarious trauma or secondary trauma. Nobody knows what you're working on. You can come in there and we can come into the classroom, and I'm proposing once a month. Hopefully I hear back from someone so I understand how to even go about this, either getting a contract or something. But go into the classroom once a month, or even just with the teachers, I'm telling you. And dang near every state, every county but ours, like where there are big cities and it's populated, and there's a huge urban public school system. There are statistics that show improvement in test rates, in attendance, in just overall well-being. KSSN has a contract with the schools where they allow for us they allow for outpatient clinicians to come into the schools because their caseloads are overloaded. We actually do this with Kentwood schools. We are not yet integrated into Grand Rapids Public Schools. But once again, I just would love to hear about some steps that I can take, even a presentation. I want you guys to be able to experience it. It is amazing. I love it. That is the only thing. I don't even do talk therapy anymore. I literally provide EMDR services. And this is, again, a way that every single student can work on something big or small, and nobody knows what they're working on. But there's this comfort and support system that's right there with you. And it literally just involves tapping, and we do some drawing, and we give them a couple resources. I encourage once a month. And I assure you, even if we did some intake surveys and at the end of the session surveys, so you guys can see the outcomes, so you can see the numbers. This is just what I encourage, and I would love to know how to go about this because our people need it. We need it. Our community needs it. And the impacts will go so far as to not just the school system. I thought this was a great place to start, right? But also the behaviors that are displayed in the community. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm really excited about it. I hope that I hear back something so I know some steps to take. I'm passionate about it, and my team is amazing. We're very big on representation, and we're very non-traditional. We're 7 days a week. And so,
Thank
yeah,
you.
my time's probably up.
Yes.
But thank you all.
Thank you very much. Well, I see that moves us to our superintendent's comments for the evening. Do you have any comments, Dr. Roby?
Actually, I do. So I had the opportunity, and it was such a privilege, to meet with the graduating classes of South High School from 1958 through 1968. They were a fun group. And as they were telling their stories, and so for me as a person from Minneapolis, St. Paul, so I don't have connections, obviously, to the district growing up, but just kind of hearing kind of how South High School was just the kind of the nexus of the community, and they talked about a 7-foot drum. So I want to make sure that I connect with our athletics teams and find out where this 7-foot drum is and just the level of love that they have. And then here's the other thing, because this school, the last class graduated in 1968, which was 54 years ago. They're still all very connected. They have a network, they have a newsletter, and they get together like once a month. And I just thought, this is really what school, when people make those connections, this is what school can be for people, because 54 years later, these people get together once a month. And I just thought it was just the sweetest, most just fun event. And they still kind of were ribbing each other like, you know, you might have done when you were in high school. So I thought that was kind of fun too. So I just wanted to share that. And there will be a story next week where one of the South High grads was separated from, and I don't know if kids do this anymore, class rings. Do you guys remember class rings? Was separated from his class ring, and he's going to be reunited with it next week. And so we're excited to be able to do that. And he lost it like his senior year, didn't tell his mother, and now is going to be reunited with it 54 years later. And I thought that was kind of cool too. So.
Thank you. Mr. Leggett, do you have any closing comments this evening?
No comments.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes, I'd just like to say an extra thanks to the people who served on this facilities committee and brought all of this information to us and to the public. I know that it was a huge job and extremely time-consuming, and so I thank you. I appreciate the work you've done, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Absolutely. Dr. Baker?
No comments.
Ms. Davis? Dr. Flores?
No comment.
And Ms. Shockey?
No comment.
All righty. I guess no comment from me either. Thank you for your participation, and to our folks who advocated for particular causes. I always appreciate the public influence and feedback. And our meeting is adjourned. Enjoy your week.